So, hello and welcome to Lemon Meringue Pie. Now, I know we've got a couple of you cooking along. I was going to say, if you want to just pop in the chat, if you are going to be cooking or watching, just so I know who's doing what or how many are doing what. And also, if you are cooking and you only have a single bowl, did you want to do your meringue up front, or did you want to do it at the end after washing? So just so I can work out the layout bit. So, or you can unmute yourself or pop it in chat, whichever is easier for you. So, okay, Sue's got second bowl, that's good. Isabella, I know, has done her meringue ahead of time.
Well, everybody should have a second bowl.
Oh, isn't it awesome having a second bowl? Yes.
Yes.
Look, I mean, you can survive without one. You just have to do things sometimes a little bit differently when you're dealing with egg whites and stuff. Nicole is making apple pie just to be different because she didn't want to eat a whole lemon meringue pie on her own. At least Anne, with you, Bert would have helped you eat it. In Nicole's house, no one will eat it except her. So.
Oh, yes, you need visitors, don't you?
Yeah.
I live with crazy fussy people, that's why.
There you go. All right. Okay, now look, I've set up my camera so that you can actually probably see the interesting stuff, like the rolling out of the pastry and stuff. But if you need close-ups of what's going on in the machine, let me know. I have got cameras that I can put on for those. Okay, so lemon meringue pie is one of those wonderful things. We're going to learn great stuff about pastry making. We're going to do the filling. We're going to be doing meringue, all great things to learn. But normally it takes quite a long time, mainly because of the pastry. Doing the pastry shell, and you need to let it chill and cool and do all that sort of thing. So we're going to sort of dovetail a few things in with the pastry. You know, while the pastry's chilling, we'll be making the filling. While the pastry's cooking.
Nearly a poem. While the pastry's chilling, you're making a filling.
Maybe I should make a song or rap about. No, I won't try that. Yeah, so that we can compress it into the time we have. But lemon meringue pie is actually one of those amazing, great things to do where you can do your pastry shell if you want, 2 or 3 days ahead of time. Have it ready to go, do your filling a couple of days ahead, and then just put it all together on the day that you want. But we're going to do it all in one go today, so that's awesome. What the recipe I'm going to use is
Could you freeze the pastry shells?
I don't see why not. And do you know what is actually really good to do? You can actually freeze the pastry shell before you bake it as well.
Oh, okay.
And so that actually makes it really good for baking. If you actually bake from frozen, it actually is good as well.
So you freeze it raw and then bake it.
You can freeze it raw or
bake it when you bring it out.
Yep, and just so you pop it into the oven while it's still frozen.
Okay.
It's actually really good.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go.
It likes to be cold, doesn't it?
Sorry, what was that?
It likes to be cold.
It does. And that's why it says it wants it to chill for half an hour before we bake. We're probably not going to have that time, but I'm actually going to probably throw mine in the freezer for a little while because you want that butter to be really firm. You don't want the butter to start melting before it can hold itself upright. Okay, and that's why you have everything really cold, so it will start baking and hold solid. So there we go. So the lemon meringue pie is, whether you're on a TM6 or a TM5, it's in your basic cookbook, so it's on Cookie Do. Okay, so we're just doing the classic Australian lemon meringue pie. To be honest, if I was doing lemon meringue pie, I'd probably do my shell ahead of time, probably use the thickening mode for the curd to do the filling on TM6, and then do my meringue. But we're going to actually do the recipe as it is. So any model of Thermomix can do this one. Okay, so everyone's in. Okay, Charmaine's getting sound and can't hear me. Can everyone else hear me?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, Charmaine, must be your end. Oh, yeah, and Graham just put must be at your end. So, yeah, I've got my headset in. So I've got my microphone here and things. So there we go. So oh, someone just.
Getting about every fifth word you're
Okay,
saying,
okay, Charmaine, you're actually cutting in every second word when you're talking. So it might be at your end. Yeah, but it is recording, so people can watch it later if you need to see it again. Okay, so let's jump in without further ado to lemon meringue pie. And an interesting...
I'll just follow along because I can't hear anything. And then if I've got any questions, I'll myself and yell out.
Yep, fair enough. Okay, so you bring up your recipe. I'll also say what I'm doing. So anyone who actually wants to be doing it manually can be doing that. Now it says to grease a pie dish. So it depends what you're actually planning on doing your lemon meringue pie in. I'm actually going to be using a rose gold loose bottom flan tin from the mix shop. Well, I've never used it before, but I thought it would be interesting to see how that goes. It will not need greasing, and I must admit I don't normally grease, like, you know, if I've got a Pyrex pie dish is what I would normally have used in the past, I wouldn't grease it. Pastry generally comes straight out, so it's not a big deal. Now we're going to pop in some okay, we've got 50 grams of icing sugar. Now, you can, if you can make your own if you want, or I actually had some real icing sugar. So I'm going to just pop that in. Now, the first step for this one is actually to, oops, a bit too much. I put extra in there. It's actually going to sieve the icing sugar. And I actually did this earlier also with the icing sugar that's going to be used in the meringue, because icing sugar is really good at clumping. So if you want to actually add the icing sugar for your meringue in at this point for the sifting and then take the 100 grams out, you can do that. Otherwise, if you know it's nice and soft, don't worry about it. Okay, so we've got icing sugar in our bowl, lid on, and we're just going to give it 10 seconds on speed 9, and that's just going to get any lumps out of it, okay? Alrighty. And whenever I'm doing icing sugar, I always give the lid a bit of a shake before I take it off, because you will have icing sugar that will have come up. By doing that, it actually makes most of the icing sugar drop off. Okay, here we go. So 230 grams of plain flour. I actually just use baker's flour for everything. So I don't use ordinary plain flour. I use baker's flour, still works. So 230 grams. And if you're also doing your icing sugar for your meringues, make sure you take that out before you put your flour in. Oh. 1 gram, no, there we go. 230 grams, lovely. Pinch of salt. I actually had that in with my flour. And 100 grams of unsalted butter chilled. So mine's in the fridge. Just going to grab it out. One thing with pastry, you always want to keep it chilled. You want the butter to be cold. You don't want it melting in it. But it's just a pastry thing. So 100 grams of, let me show you. I have just diced up unsalted butter. If you only have salted butter, you would leave out your pinch of salt because you've already got salt going in. Yeah. It's all right. There you go. Now we're going to be doing the classic rubbing the butter into the flour. Okay, that's what this next step is. Okay, so that was just on speed 6. And we're going to take off our MC. I'm just going to show you. Okay, that is what it looks like when, the butter is rubbed into the flour now. So it's just sort of lightly, the flour is just a little bit yellower, but it is evenly rubbed in all through. So much easier than what we learned in home ec at school where you learned to rub butter into flour and it took forever. Don't have to do that now. Okay. Now, if you haven't separated your eggs, so we want, I think, is it 3 egg yolks for this one? Let me have a look. Remember, if you ever want to look at a recipe while you're in a recipe and you want to look at the ingredients, you go to the 3 dots up the top next to the next button and select recipe detail. And then you can scroll down through the recipe. So I can go, yep, it was 3 egg yolks I needed. And I can actually now just click on step 3, which was adding, what did we go? All right, to get back to where I wanted to be. I have separated my eggs. I have 3 egg yolks here. And the whites from those I have put aside at room temperature, ready for the meringue. And then we'll be separating 1 more. So we want 4 whites for our meringue. Okay, so we've got our measuring cup off. And we've got, do you want me to I'm just gonna change, I might just change camera over to the machine for the moment. Okay. All right. So I don't know if you can see now, we've got 30 seconds and the kneading function. And it says to turn the speed selector to start and follow the next step. What we're going to be doing is popping the egg yolks in 1 at a time into our pastry mix. Okay, so we're just going to start it. There we go. It says add 3 egg yolks 1 at a time through the mixing bowl lid. So rather than just dump them all in one go, we want to incorporate the yolks in. So you've got 30 seconds, probably one every 10 seconds would work. Whoops, if you don't quite make it, that's fine. Just start it again. There we go. And go, just let that finish. Okay, I'm just going to swap back to. All right. So what we're going to do now is, all right, so we've got our egg yolks incorporated into it. It's nice and yellow. What you want to do is you want to make sure that your dough is going to be, you're going to be able to roll it, because depending on your egg, how big your eggs are, grab some of the mix and push it together with your hands and just make sure it's going to hold, okay? If you're worried it's not going to, pop it back on and just pop, like maybe a teaspoon of water and give it a few more seconds on the kneading to do it. But because mine is very wet like that, I might actually just pop a little water in and just make it a little bit easier to work. So I'm just going to, probably a couple of teaspoons. So I'm just going to go hit the back button, pop back onto that kneading mode. It's going to pop a little bit of water in just to help bring it just a little bit moister. And stop. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. And also, because we're sort of going to be sort of speeding up our process and stuff, now you can see now it's, rather than looking like breadcrumbs, it's like big breadcrumbs. Okay. So that was just adding probably a teaspoon of water into it, but it will depend on your eggs if you need to or not. All right. So is everyone okay with their dough to this point? All good?
Yep.
Yep.
You have to put your thumbs up for the emoji.
I will.
Cool. All right. Now it's saying to transfer it onto our mat. So this is why I've got this mat here, into a ball. So we're going to bring everything together, and having it that little bit moister that I do adding the water in has made it a bit quicker to bring it together. It still would have come together the way it was, but I just want to speed it up. Now, one thing with pastry, it's always good to sort of shape it into the thing you're ultimately going to be, we're going to be rolling out a circle. Well, I'm using a circle tin, but if I was using a rectangle, for example, I would shape this into a bit of a rectangle now. Okay, for the moment, I'm just doing a flattened circle, which I'm going to wrap in cling wrap and pop into the fridge for 15, or probably even pop it in the freezer for a few minutes if you want. But if you've got it a little bit flatter, it will chill down quicker. Okay. So just wrap your pastry like so, and pop it in your fridge to chill down. There we go. Again, this is what's going to chill it down, but it's also going to rest it, because what you don't want is the gluten in your flour to be stretchy and elastic. You want it to actually rest so that when you roll it out, you're going to be able to keep your shell shape better. Okay, it won't shrink as much. All right. So it says, wrap in plastic wrap, place in the fridge for a minimum of 15 minutes or until chilled. We don't have 15 minutes. We won't do it that long, just as long as it takes us to give our jugs a bit of a wash. And then we can jump back into getting our shell happening. So If you want to use your pre-clean mode, you can, or I'm just using a tap. Here, I'm off camera, so you can't see me. Got my brush. And just trying to get some hot water running. Oh, you don't need to be too precious about the cleaning of this. There is nothing in the pastry that will stop your curd from working. It's not like meringues or anything. There's nothing in there that will actually damage your curd. Just... All right. Now, once we've actually shaped our shell, it's going to go back into the fridge, or I'm going to pop mine in the freezer. At that point, we can preheat our oven. But while we'll actually make our curd while the actual shell is chilling. Okay, so there we go. All right. So it doesn't take long to clean a jug after making pastry, because it all comes out pretty easily. It doesn't stick. Those of you cooking, yell out if you have questions or anything. Those of you watching could also yell out if you have questions. And I will, if you type things in the chat box, I have actually positioned my laptop so that I can see the chat screen as well. Okay. All right, so I'm just giving this a bit of a clean. Now, Sue, are you doing orange meringue pie?
I am, because they're not very sweet oranges. So
that sounds brilliant. I'm interested to see how that goes. I've got mainly lime. I just popped one lemon in just to give it a little bit of a tang. Isabella, you're doing lemon?
Yes, lemon.
You're doing lemon? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone else cooking? Charmaine? What? Oh, you're Charmaine.
I can hear you now because I swapped to my phone.
Oh, good. Brilliant. Okay, now you're cooking along, are you?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, are you doing lemon or?
Lemon. Yep.
Lemon? Okay. All right, so is everybody up to, we've got our pastry sitting in the fridge and having a little bit of a rest. So while that's...
I did the pastry earlier because I thought I read ahead. So.
Well, yeah, look, in a perfect world, I would have done my pastry shell like yesterday or this morning, that sort of thing. But I thought, no, I better not do that. So you're good, Sue. But it's all right. We'll do that. But it is, with the meringue pie, the longest part of it is the pastry, okay? Just because it requires so much resting and chilling. But what we can do is we can now get our sort of ingredients and things sort of be prepping a bit if we need to, just while we're waiting on our pastry. So I've got 6 eggs here, which are going to be going into my curd. So I might just take a couple of minutes I may as well crack them all into a bowl. Just, this is called killing time so that I don't have to rush into my pastry. Okay, so if you have something to do there, if you've got any other eggs to be separating for your meringue, do that. Get your rolling pin out, get your tin out, all that sort of stuff. Now, pretty sure it's 6 eggs for the curd. So get all that done.
Louise, you'll be chuffed to know that this dish is the first one we're using the chicken's new eggs in. I've been stockpiling them all week.
How exciting!
They look so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, a real difference.
Oh, that is wonderful. Much better than the supermarket ones. That is good. Now, I was going to say, I would do that. But this is my jug with my trusty, see, I wasn't joking when I say I put a luggage tag on my jug when I do pre-clean, because I actually use the pre-clean, the TM6 pre-clean browning mode to do vinegar wash on my machine, okay, on my jug. So what I do is I just put a good glug of white vinegar in, it's probably about half a cup, top up to a litre, and then pop it on browning mode. And that's actually just going to clean it really, really well. And then once that's finished doing that, I then just pop my butterfly into the boiling water with it and just give it, 10, 20 seconds on about speed 4. Just swish around and vinegar wash the butterfly. Then I rinse it all, empty all the water out and let it air dry. And that's actually why I still kept this tag on, so I would know this was the jug that I had vinegar washed, so that I wouldn't be tempted to use it for my pastry as well. Okay, so that's what that is. All righty, so our pastry has been in the fridge for a few minutes. We're going to jump the gun and do some pastry rolling. Now, I'm going to be using my Thermomix, which has got rings on it. Because what you want to do is you're going to be rolling your pastry out to the diameter of your dish, whatever you're using, and then you want the sides, okay? So who's using a pie dish and who's using a flan dish?
I don't know the difference, but I'm using the one you've got.
Okay, yep. Yes, so, I mean, we call this a flan dish. A pie dish is more like...
Okay.
Mine's a pie dish. I've got one
I'm
here.
the pie.
You got a pie dish?
It does look different.
Yeah, look, a pie
mine.
dish just has just sort of straight sides that go up. It's actually easier to use for something like this because you don't have these little fluty bits to go into. But yeah, so what you want to do is you're going to be rolling your pastry out, that plus extra. So I've actually just lined this up on my thing, and this is about the 28 centimetre circle on my mat is about exactly the right size for my tin. So that is awesome to know. And if I go on to the recipe detail and scroll down to the rolling out of the pastry, here we go.
What do you want?
Transfer. And it just says to roll it out. It doesn't tell you how thick to roll it out to. Okay. So you can sort of guess. I would say anywhere between 3 and 5 mils. I mean, you don't want it to be so thick that it's not going to cook through, but you don't want it to be so thin that it won't actually support the lemon curd either. But the amount of pastry we have should be pretty much the right amount for this sort of rough, that sort of size tin. You may want a little bit of flour to help with the rolling. I'm just stuffing into my pantry to grab a little bit. And I'm just going to grab my pastry as I come back. It's been sitting on a glass shelf in the fridge, so it's quite chilled, feeling quite nice. So we can do it straight onto a mat. If you don't have a thermomat, you can do a bench board, anything you like. And you can actually even, if you want to, even lightly dust the mat. You just don't want it sticking. And whatever sort of rolling pin you use. If you want to use a bit of flour on it, you can. Another way is, if you're worried about sticking, is just put it between 2 layers of baking paper. That's actually a really good way to roll pastry. Okay. If you find you think it's going to stick too much, we'll get that baking paper out. So, don't know about you, but mine is rolling beautifully. Okay. So let's get it out to a nice circle. It's going to get into the, once we've got it to the right size, we'll then pop it in the tin, and then it's going to go in the fridge to chill again.
You've got to be careful.
Okay. And I was going, look, sometimes I use a wooden rolling pin. At the moment I'm using, this is a metal one, just because it's the first one I grabbed. I also have plastic ones, so I'm not particularly fussed. And I haven't got a particularly good circle here either. I'm not good at rolling circles. I believe in trimming afterwards. Like, see, that's not a circle. Now, if you're worried it's going, yeah?
We have to have our ovens on.
No, because we're going to chill our pastry shell. So there's going to be plenty of time to warm it, okay?
If I missed a step.
Now, I'm going to make sure I'm not sticking. So I'm actually using my mat and my rolling pin to lift it up, just to make sure it's not sticking. And also, as you probably all know, particularly like when you're doing bread pastry and stuff, sometimes when you roll, it then wants to spring back on itself, and that is the gluten in it. It's another reason why you chill it. So we just want to make sure we are going to be big enough. I think mine is okay. And again, I'm going to use my rolling pin to help me pick it up, like so. And get it into my tin. This is always a fun bit. You don't want any holes in it. You're just going to ease it in. All right, so I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just being gentle, easing it in to the bottom, like so. Because especially if you're using this sort of tin.
It's nice, the pastry.
It's very easy to work with. Look, the longer you leave it in the fridge, the firmer it becomes. But if we give it a nice chill now, I'm actually going to pop it in the freezer, then we can get away with not having done quite so much resting at the start. Okay, so what we're doing is just be careful. As when you've got a flan tin like this, the edges are quite sharp. So your pastry, you want to make sure you don't actually break off your pastry on the edges until you're ready for it. Okay, but once you go, yep, that's in where I want it to be, you can use your rolling pin, or I tend to just use my hand just to push it over on metal. If you've got a pie dish or whatever, just use a knife to run around. You know, if you want to do a bit of fluting with your fingers, you can do that. Now I'm probably going to have some pastry left here, so I'm going to pop that aside in the fridge and make a smaller lemon meringue pie later, I think, with a smaller flan tin. Probably a single serve one. But, okay. So we'll pop this into, hope you've got room in your freezer, just pop it in while we make our curd. Okay, and we'll pop our ovens on at that stage as Okay, doke. Get all that out of the way. All right, so I have lined my tin. So has everyone got their pastry shell ready for their oven? Or not their oven, their freezer? Yes? Too busy doing pastry shells to answer.
All done.
Well done.
Yes, we're on track.
You're on track. Beautiful. Okay. Mine's
My
going
assistant has got it in hand.
in.
Well, like mine.
You're lucky you've got assistance. All right. I've got a nice spot there. Pop it in
I've somehow managed to knead some green food dye into my pastry. There must have been something on my bench, so I've got little green flecks all through my pastry case.
Who's saying that?
Jackie.
Jackie, so you've got a very special one.
Yes. I don't know if you can see on my little mini one. If there's little flecks
Hang on,
through
let me
it.
see if I'm just going to find you on the... Can't...
Is this
Oh, there you are. Oh, there you are. Now, are
Yeah,
you
I've got
doing
little tiny flecks.
Okay. Are you doing lemon or lime?
I'm doing a
Jackie?
mix. I've done half limes
Okay.
from my tree and a couple of lemons as well.
Okay, so you're pretty much the same as me. So look, having green flecks then is not an issue. It was a deliberate style statement, okay?
That's it.
For the limes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So look, I've got a little bit of this. This is enough here is to make a nice little, I'll just show you the little, I have a really cute little, I have a huge range of tins. But I'm hoping, so I have lots of loose bottom things. I'm hoping this little bit of dough or pastry will be able to fit in one of these lemon meringue tins.
Enough.
So that would be it. So I'm actually going to pop this back in the fridge and I'll worry about that one later. Okay, so we're all going to pastry shells.
Is that going in the fridge or the freezer?
The actual pastry shell, pop in the freezer.
Okay.
Because we're not going to have 30 minutes to, leave it sitting in the fridge. Well, yeah, we'll never know if we talk a lot while we're doing our curd, but doing it in the freezer means it really will be chilled. So that's good. Sorry.
Done.
Can you all still hear me? My earpiece just flew out of my ear.
Oh, still got you, Lou.
Can you everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, I went into the pantry and my earpiece went flying into the flour bin. So awesome. Okay, so we've got our pastry done. Let's go jump onto our curd. So we jump back on, transfer pastry, sure there are no holes, place in the fridge for 30 minutes and pop the oven on at this stage. So we want 180. Okay. So 180. Now, one thing I like to do if I'm cooking something like a loose bottom flan, I'm actually going to be popping it onto a tray because I just find that easier for getting in and out of the oven rather than accidentally hitting the bottom and having the whole thing come out, okay? Not that I can be clumsy in the kitchen, but hey, I can be clumsy in the kitchen. All right. So we're going to actually skip. I'm going to go recipe detail. We can all do that. And we're going to jump to filling, which is step 8. So we're actually going to make this while our paste is chilling rather than, according to the recipe, we would have just gone away for half an hour and had a drink or something. Okay, we're not doing that. All right, so has everyone found step 8 of the recipe?
Mine's, is it 20?
Sorry?
Oh, would it be 27 if you're using the 6?
Yes, 27 out of 58. But if you go on to, 3 dots, recipe detail, or if you're on TM5, then go for recipe details, scroll through the preparation steps, and you'll see the section that says filling, which is main one, number 8, but it is 27 out of 58 of all the steps. So I will actually just...
Louise, is it the one that starts with 1 lemon, zest only, no white pith?
That's it. And actually,
Perfect.
what I can do is I can bring up... Let me just get back to here. Excuse me while you look at my Thermomix shirt. While I'm actually going to bring up... Look at that. There we go. Okay. 1 lemon zest only. Now, your zest for your lemon, you just use a peeler to take the outside off, and you end up with nice thin little strips like that. Okay. I find a peeler that has a little serrated edge on it gives you a much better zesting rather than peeling. Okay, but anyway, that's right. So we've got a lemon, zest only, no white pith, and 100 grams of caster sugar. So I've got both of mine in my container together.
So if I don't have a lemon, can I just throw some lemon juice in?
Oh, no, look, this is mainly for I would just leave it out at this point. Okay, this is to add extra flavour, but if you were to add lemon juice at this point, all you would be doing is making wet sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're actually going to be doing is milling this down with the zest into a very fine icing sugar that's lemon flavoured. So I would just, if you don't have zest, just leave it out altogether at this point. And just pop your sugar in and mill that down. If you've actually already got icing sugar, you can always just throw that in instead and just skip over these steps. Okay. All right. Break down sides. Okay. So when you look in there, you will see that there we go. You can see that my sugar has gone yellow and it's got little bits of lemon zest through it. Okay. So it's just a little extra flavour, but yeah, you wouldn't want to be adding lemon juice for that step. But we're going to have plenty of lemon juice going in, so don't worry. All right, 20 grams of lemon juice or whatever citrus you're doing. As I said, I have a mix of lemon and lime. There we go, it's pretty close. And 65 grams of unsalted butter. This didn't have to be chilled, so don't worry about that one. It's just butter chopped up like so. Lid on. And we're going to give it 3 minutes on speed 2 at 60 degrees. Everybody got their mix on going? Their mix going?
No, I'm a bit behind. I'm still putting my lemon juice in.
Oh, okay. No worries.
All right, I'll get there.
Yeah, so as I was saying, if you have a peeler that has a serrated edge, like I use the one out of the Thermomix toolkit, but you can also buy other ones. I don't know if you can see that. See how it's got the little serrations on it rather than just a straight blade, that is actually great for doing the zesting, and you won't get any of the white pith at all when you cut into it. So, whereas a normal peeler, you can actually take chunks of white out with it as well. But the serrated one is excellent for that. Now, this filling is a little bit more convoluted than the curd recipe on the TM6, which, you know, pretty much you throw everything in and just cook it. But I don't see why you couldn't just use that other one if you wanted to, but we'll do it the proper way. Yeah, I feel like it's the Addams Family, and is it Thing, the hand?
It. Cousin It.
That's it.
Or is it Cousin It, the one with all the
No,
hair?
that was Thing. No.
Cousin
Yeah,
is
there we
the
go.
hairy
See,
one. Thing's the
Okay,
hand.
that's Cousin It, and that's Thing. All right. Oh, hang on. And I can even actually put glasses on as well. There we go. We've got the Addams Family. Oh, God, I just remember we're recording this, aren't we? Damn. There I go, making a fool of myself again, as usual. So,
Humour.
yes. If we didn't laugh, we'd cry. Now, I'm going to just change cameras back for the next bit because we're going to be popping eggs in. Now, it says to pop the eggs in one at a time, so you can just break them in. I've got my eggs all in a bowl, so I'm just sort of gradually go plop, plop, plop with them. I don't get too precious about these things. Okay. So at this stage, without the measuring cup, now is anyone up to this stage as well, or are you all gone past, or still almost up to it? It's pretty straightforward. There you go. Without the measuring cup, we're going to have 45 seconds on speed 2 while we're adding the eggs in. We're not going to pop them all in one go. I don't know why not, but we're not. And go add 6 eggs one at a time through the lid. So I'm just going and letting them plop in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. 6 eggs in. Looks okay. Okay. And the next step is to pop the lid back on, and it's going to cook for 7 minutes on 80 degrees, speed 2. Okay, so this is the thickening bit. So we'll just let that do its thing. Now, does anyone have any questions or anything at the moment? No?
Sorry, it's Jackie.
Yes.
I've only got the one bowl, so when
Yep.
washing it for the meringue,
Yep.
and I've only got the TM5, so in terms of
Yeah,
giving
so-
it that really good wash and vinegar wash or whatever, what
Yep.
should I be doing?
Okay. What I would do is get your I would boil the kettle so you've got boiling water ready for when your curd is done. So you're going to get the curd out, give the jug a wash with, hang on, I'm just going to change. Oh, look at that. There we go. I would give it a wash to get, you know, most of the curd that would get jug sort of clean. Then half a cup of vinegar, boiling water up to, you know, pretty close to the 1 litre mark. Pop it on and give it, say, 5 minutes at 100 degrees on speed, you know, 3, something like that. So that it'll actually boil and really get in under the blades and everything. At the end of that, you know, rinse it out. And because it's still hot, it'll actually dry pretty quickly. And it should have time to dry before we're ready to do the meringue. Yeah.
Awesome. So, thank you.
All right. We'll get that happening. I'm just going to go and check my pastry shell in my freezer. Oh, my pastry shell's feeling pretty cold. So if you want to check your pastry shell and think about getting it in the oven, we can do that.
Louise, I've got a quick question. I'm using a glass dish for the...
Yes.
Will that be okay to go straight into the oven from the freezer?
It should be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you get it out, and we're going to because as long as it's if it's an oven proof thing, they're fine. They have a sort of a shatter resistance to a certain temperature, and it's usually okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be blind baking the case, which means we either are going to we can use pie weights or rice or beans, or if you don't have any of those, just pricking the base is also something you can do, okay? So we will, let me just get it there.
Should we be pricking it anyway, even if we're blind, if we've got beans or?
Look, what I do is I usually line it, and then you do your weights, and then you get the weights out and it goes back in the oven. At that stage, if you're worried that it's going to puff up a bit, you'll know at that stage. At that point, I prick it for that last 5 minutes.
Cool.
Okay. Look, you can prick it if you want. It really doesn't, it's not a big deal. I mean, before I ever had pie weights, I used to only ever prick the base. But it depends, because sometimes it's like, oh, I wish I had twice as many pie weights to hold it down. So, now, you can use baking paper or foil, okay? If you're using a pie dish, baking paper is really good for it. If you're using a flan dish, you can use baking paper, but a lot of people recommend foil because you can actually sort of press it into the fluting of the, against the sides a bit better than with baking paper, particularly if you don't have enough to fill your whole flan dish with weights or rice or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to get mine out. It's feeling pretty cold. And I'm actually going to try it with foil. I would normally use baking paper, but then when I saw the thing about using foil, I thought, that actually makes a bit of sense. So I'm actually going to try that today. So you can actually sort of mold it to the flan dish a bit better. Whereas your pie dish isn't so much of an issue because you've got these sort of gently flared sides. So
sorry, I'm so sorry, Louise. I missed what you were saying if you don't have the weights. So what do I do if I don't have weights?
If you don't have weights, just get a fork and prick the pastry. So the main thing for the weights or, the rice or beans, whatever you're using, it's to hold the pastry down to stop from puffing up, and putting holes in it also achieves the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So just with a fork, you just do that. Whereas, okay, so I have put foil mine, and then I'm going to empty my pie weights in. Cover the base. Okay. Yeah, see, I wish I had 2 bags full, then it would actually fill above. Now, what we want to do is we've got our oven at 180 and we're going to bake it for 15. So let's get that in. And our curd will be ready soon. They say to pop it into it will thicken as it cooks, transfer it into a bowl and set it aside, okay? I was gonna say, it says thicken as it cooks. Shouldn't it say it thickens it? I would have thought it would say it thickens as it cools. I think that's a typo. Look, you can leave it in a jug if you want, but it will thicken. I'm actually going to pour mine out because I think that'll be easier to get out while it's still a bit runny. And if you need to wash your jug at this point, this is where, look, the recipe just says to, wash and dry it well. It doesn't say anything about vinegar washes, so it might be a bit forgiving. I don't know. Ooh. But I just find with having a really nice jug, a nice clean jug, vinegar washed jug for egg whites is the best way to do it. Okay, so get as much out as you can and then get that clean. Okay. So I have my curd here ready to go. We don't need to worry about putting that in the fridge to chill it. It doesn't matter if it's still warm when we pop it in the shell and put the meringue on top, okay? Apart from now, Zoe, you've got your meringue in the fridge, so it is chilled, so you might want to get your filling as cold as possible, sort of to match the temperature when it gets put together. Whereas ours, we'll be cooking our meringue at 50 degrees, so it won't be totally cold when it goes on. Okay. So you should find the jug pretty easy to wash at this point, getting the curd out.
Louise, is this where you were talking about before doing the pre-clean function with the vinegar, or is that for later?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a vinegar wash for your egg whites now, yeah, you can use your pre-clean, but I would suggest popping your kettle on to pop boiling water in, and that will just speed the pre-clean process up as well. Okay.
Okay, and I think it was 50 grams of vinegar and then 4 minutes of the browning.
They say 50 grams for doing the browning. If I'm doing it for a vinegar wash, I put a bit more in. I pour it in to cover that bottom sort of rim on the jug. You know how you just sort of when you look in. I pour in enough white vinegar just to cover that and then top it up the 1 litre at that point.
So the 1 litre mark, okay.
Yeah, and if you pop boiling water in, it will speed it up because part of the process is for it to bring it to the boil. So if you've already got boiling water, it will make it quicker.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Go. Now I don't have to clean mine because I have actually already cleaned the jug, but it's just to show you how after doing the curd, it is actually pretty easy to get it to a really nice clean stage. Also remember, if you didn't want to do a vinegar wash because you just think, oh yeah, I think it looks fine. If you put your jug on and do turbo, it will shoot anything out front of the blade, so you'll be able to tell if your jug is clean. Just rinse it off the lid. I'm just going to give that a turbo just to have a look to see how clean. Just doing a basic wash did. Let's have a look. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, a little bit came off on the side, but not a lot. So it's not as bad as some things you could have been doing just prior to doing meringue. But okay, that's that all good. Yes, Nicole, I do have to buy more pie weights. I think they actually sell them in the mix shop now too, so I probably should get some Thermomix ones and add them to my pie weight stash.
Yeah, the silly little packet they sell you to start with is so small. You think, God, what's it for? A jam tart.
Is it really small, is it?
Well, mine was a little plastic container, and I thought, so I have to buy 3.
Was that from the mix shop?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that was from House or something.
Ah, yeah. See, I have the ones I have. I mean, look, I've had these for years and years and years. This is they came from Matchbox. Yeah, probably 30 years ago. Cuisina brand. I mean, this size container. I mean, that fills just the base, just a single layer on the base of that flan tin.
No, mine was jam tart size.
Okay, so you need 1 packet per mini tart. Yeah, I'm thinking I should probably get another. If I had another, say 2 packets this size, I'd be able to fill a pie thing. So
I have used rice though and put it back in a container that I use specifically just for that.
Yes. Yep. I've done that too. Look, and to be quite honest, rice is actually really good, particularly if you're doing little tarts. I don't know if anyone's tried those little citrus tarts that are on Cookie Doo. They're absolutely delicious. They have sour cream pastry. It's beautiful. But they get you to blind bake the little mini tarts, which are made in mini muffin tins.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I can get like 3 of my pie weights into it.
You know what I do with those? I don't put the pastry in the mini muffin tin. I turn the mini muffin tin upside down
and put it over the top.
Yeah.
What a clever idea. See, I used, let's see if I can find, this is a thing from the mix shop, which is awesome. Seen these?
Oh, I got one of those, yes.
And that's so good because you just, you have your little thingy and you go plonk, 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 plonk. Yeah. But I did find the blind baking didn't work. So it said, line them with baking paper. And I'm like, seriously? Yeah, it's not going to work.
I've been doing it over the bottom for years. I've got a little scalloped thing I cut them out with.
Yep.
So I get a little scalloped edge.
Oh, pretty.
And
good.
Put them over the bottom. I saw it in some American magazine a million years ago because that's about how old I am. And and I've been doing it ever since. And you can do it with the big ones too if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had sorry, what was that?
Makes them slightly bigger.
Yeah. But I mean, look, it doesn't hurt to have them a little bit bigger because I mean they were delicious but really fiddly. Because I do normally have sort of a shallower tart things. They're about this big, and they're a lot easier to work with. But I thought I would follow the recipe.
Yeah.
And I must admit that the pastry on that particular recipe, the citrus tart, little mini tart recipe, the sour cream one, is absolutely amazing. So it's one of Maria Stewart's recipes. She's a consultant in our team who she used to be, she's been doing it for like 12 years. And she used to be manager, but she actually has a cookery school and bakery down at Coonawarra. So sort of, I think she lives in Inverloch, so yeah, down that way. And she is the pastry expert. So Thermomix used to actually get her to run special pastry masterclasses. So she's really amazing. Has everyone seen this book that has come out, Creating Something Incredible? A few of the recipes are on Cookie Do, just a small collection of them. This recipe has come out to celebrate 20 years or 21 years? No, 20 years. It's almost like a coffee table book, but it's got amazing, amazing recipes in it.
Louise, is the book worth it, do you reckon?
I seriously love it. If I've got some on order, if anyone wants one, so I can actually get them a bit cheaper, obviously, than people. But the recipes in it are good. Some of the recipes are already on Cookie Do, but there are sort of extra ones in here. It's actually very interesting to learn about the story of Thermomix in Australia, and Grace, who set it all up here and her journey. But there are some amazing recipes. And I'm just going to show you. There's an amazing thing here, which all sorts of people have contributed to this book, people who love Thermomix, famous chefs and stuff. There's an amazing showstopper cake that is actually on Cookie Do. And they've actually got a challenge for consultants at the moment to make it. And
like the sponge with the strawberries and then something fancy on top.
And then a croquembouche on top. Yeah, so
that's right.
Yeah, so
it
actually has, the Fraser sponge on the bottom. Then it has these sable shoe puff croquembouche on top. And then there's special strawberry macaroons to go around. It's,
my goodness,
it takes like 3 days to make. What have we got?
Do you need any special equipment?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you need any special equipment for it that we wouldn't normally have, do you think?
No, I don't think so. All the recipes are on Cookie Do. I'm just having a look to see if...
So do they have the contents or index up on the shop with the book?
I don't know. I haven't checked. I'll have a look and see if it's there.
You know what? I've bought a book, so I can't remember, but that would help make a decision whether it's something I should probably get.
Okay, well, what I can do is I'm just going to jump off. So you can't... This is fun because you're going to see me reaching over to my screen to...
Thanks, Lou.
Get to...
I could Google it, but now I'm starting on dinner while I'm waiting for a pastry, so...
Yeah, no, that's all right. And look, and so we're sort of, while people are doing their vinegar washes on their jugs as well, we'll look at these things. Here we go.
I'm running a completely different race to everybody else anyway.
Yeah, let me see. There we go. Shop the collection. All right, what I'll do is, so I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so this is the book. Now that's one of the consultants did that one. And there we go. What do we got? Recipe inspiration.
With some reviews too.
Yeah, are there? Oh yeah, well, it's one review, it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Recipe team's top picks. Torta caprese, smoked salmon brioche with creme fraiche. Oh, spritz sorbet. No, what I can, here we go. There we go. There's we've got the recipe index on here so you can have a look through. And also if you are on cookie dough. Oh, now for those of you who don't know, you can customize your cookie dough so it greets you however you like, okay? So that's why mine says, hello, queen of the kitchen.
I love it.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, so when you're on your profile, you can, so this is on the computer, I can make it say anything I want, okay? And then, so that's then how it will greet you. So if you need a little bit of a, you know, boost in the morning when you switch your machine on, it can say something wonderful. Oh, okay. I'm just going to stop share because my tart is asking me to come out. So I'm going to just bring it out. So what we're going to be doing here is taking our weights out. Now, if you haven't got weights, if you've just pricked your base, you don't need to worry about this bit, because we're going to then pop it back in just to brown a bit. So at this point, you're going to get it off, take your things out. See, I'm just lifting my out. It's looking good. I'm happy with how that's looking. Now it's actually quite loose there. It's sort of puffed up underneath, but it has stayed flat. So I'm going to trust that it's going to be okay. And we're going to pop it back in for another 5 minutes just to brown off a little bit, because when it goes back in with the meringue, it's not to actually cook the pastry. So this is actually this is the cooking of the pastry. All right. So it's just going to have another few minutes just to get it goldy brown. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, cookie dough, we can have a look at that again in a minute. But okay. Here we go. How are our vinegar washing jugs going? Good. And so what you want to do is try and get as dry as possible, but it should dry pretty quickly because it's had the boiling water in it. So the heat in it should dry it. And when you pop your jug back on your machine, make sure it's like not over 50 degrees. If you've been doing the thing, you want it to drop down below 50. You don't want to actually have scrambled eggs. Okay. Oh, and I still have another egg to separate. So I'm going to do that here. Has everyone got eggs separated ready for their meringue? If not, you can, because let's get down to our meringue. Will be good. Here's where look, I'm renowned for doing this sort of thing, where instead of putting my egg white in there, I throw the yolk into all my egg whites and ruin the whole lot. So that can be so spazzy. So, all right, we have egg whites. So is everyone under control for getting onto meringue? Yes, all good? Okay, I'm going to jump back into my recipe. Let me. Okay, I'm going to bring up recipe detail and jump to filling to meringue. Oh, okay. We are going to want to be making the oven a bit hotter. but that's fine. We can do that as soon as our bases are out. So we want the oven to be 200 for doing the meringue, but that's the browning the meringue, but that's not critical. So this is step 44 of 58. If you're following along at that sort of thing. There we go. Okay. We're going to pop our butterfly in, which just sits in between the blades. 4 egg whites. There we go. I'm just going to pop my 4 egg whites in. And a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. It just helps stabilize the egg whites.
I just got a thing from Mama that they're due for their cups on Tuesday, but it'll be shut. Now, we're
going to pop the lid on, but not the measuring cup, okay? Because we want to suck in as much air as possible for aerating our eggs. And we're going to whip them to stiff peaks. Now, this is one of those things where they put a time on it, but you want to actually sort of keep an eye on them because you don't want to over whip them, or they may need a little bit extra time. It's like whipping cream. You can't give an exact time, but we'll see how we go. But it is going to be doing 50 degrees, so it's just going to gently warm it. So we are effectively having a cooked meringue here. So I'm going on speed 3.5. And let it go. There we go. And my flan, I just don't know if you can see. There we go. My tart thingy is perfect. So I'm just going to pop that in and turn my oven up to 200. And I do want to chill my pie case down a little bit. So I'm not sure how cold it is outside. I might pop it outside for a little bit. So if my husband is listening, he might come and help me with that so I don't have to leave my egg whites. Can you take that off the tray so it'll be extra cool? And just pop it outside so it'll cool a little bit. And then I'll show them in a minute when I bring it back in. Okay, so you see when you're whipping, it will say, oh, now that's why you hold it by the sides. Okay, now you'll see with the whipping, it says prolonged time, but what I'm actually doing at the moment is I'm actually just going to stop and have a look, because if you're already at the stiff peaks bit, you don't want to over whip. Now mine is, so what I'm going to do is I'll just, okay, see I'm nice and stiff here now. I would not want to go for that extra 30 seconds or I will end up over whipping my egg whites, okay? So I'm going to jump to the next step. It says without measuring cup. We're going to be adding our sugar in, sort of a spoon at a time, to actually make the meringue. Okay, so where is everyone at a similar point? I'm just going to. All right, so we're going to go speed 3.
What are we doing?
I'm adding in sugar, a tablespoon at a time.
I need to go back somewhere. I've lost the bit of how much sugar we've got to put in.
I think it's...
Was that the 100 grams that we took out?
It's 150 grams that...
Oh, past the sugar or icing sugar?
Icing sugar.
Okay, thank you. And just add it in a little bit at a time?
They say a tablespoon at a time because you're sort of wanting it to incorporate in and dissolve in rather than, look, some people just say throw the whole lot in, it'll work. But I'm actually going to follow the recipe. So, yeah,
150 grams.
So I've just got my tablespoon, my bowl of sugar, and making my meringue.
Okay. I gotta mute myself again.
Go down a little bit because I've still got 2 minutes to go and I'm nearly through my sugar, but it's looking okay. So that's the main thing. My pie dish is outside because it's pretty cool outside. Just cooling down a little bit. So look, it honestly doesn't matter if you sort of put it all together while it's warm and then let it all chill at the end. It's still good. I don't have patience to do. I remember seeing a recipe once where they said to do it like a teaspoon at a time. And I'm like, no, sorry. Life's too short for that one. So I have all my sugar in, it's still got a minute to go. So I'll probably be a bit quick, but hey, I will do that. Now, okay. Trina's asked about my measuring, my spoons. Look, I don't know, I've had these forever. They are, it is an Australian tablespoon, so it is a 20 ml one. I will show you something beautiful though. If you're ever on the mix shop, get a load of this. Rose gold measuring spoons. How beautiful are those? They're not very expensive. And it is a 20 ml tablespoon, so it is an Australian one. And we have a half tablespoon and a teaspoon and a half teaspoon and a quarter teaspoon and 1/8. Okay, so if you're looking for really nice spoons, those ones are really good. I just forgot to grab them out for doing this. There we go.
That meringue's beautiful, Louise.
Is it good, is it?
Oh.
Oh, wow. Okay. Look. There's my meringue. Looking awesome. Okay. Now, so we're now at the putting it all together stage, and then it just goes in the oven just to brown the meringue a little tiny bit on top. So I'm just going to grab my pie dish, grab my pie, which is outside. Excuse me while I wander out. And I'll show you my I'll just now you can pop it onto its baking tray. Yeah, that's right, that's cooled down. So I will just show you my, okay, so there's my pastry case. Can't see because of the lighting, but it is beautifully golden brown. We're going to now pop lemon filling in. So I have my lemon here. It's still warm, which isn't a drama at all. I'm just going to spoon that in, use a little palette knife to press it down. I'm not going to go right up to the top because I want to make sure I seal it off with the meringue. And I want to save some filling for doing that little tart as well. So I'm just a little bit below the top. When you pop your meringue on, you can pipe it on if you want, or you can just plop it on, smooth it off, but make sure you cover all the lemon. And when it goes into the oven, it isn't to actually cook anything. It is really just to brown those little peaks on the meringue. Okay, so here we go. I have my lemon filling in. Okay, which is there. So my flan dish is still hot. Okay, so don't think there's anything miraculous there. I'm just going to take my butterfly out of my meringue to make it easier to, I haven't got a spatula. I'll use but I might just get the meringue out because it is amazing. This meringue is so good. I'm very pleased with that. Has everybody's meringue worked? And go right to the edge of your pastry to seal in that lemon, okay? Where are we all up to?
Wishing I'd made it.
Sorry?
Wishing I'd made it.
Wishing you'd made it, yeah. Well, look, you can now make it. Now, Charmaine, how are you going?
Yeah, I'm just fighting to try and get it to sit onto the lemon curd.
Yeah, you just have to be a little bit gentle because it wants to stick to your, I know it's wanting to stick to my spatula rather than the curd, but that's all right. We just, because, I mean, I'm glad I hope everyone's meringue worked because I cannot believe how beautifully this has.
Yeah, my meringue's beautiful.
Beautiful. And then, yeah, so I'm actually sort of, what I've got is, yeah, I have sort of it piled up high and I'm pushing from the higher bits down to the edges. So it's not pushing, I'm not trying to sort of pull it across the lemon, so to speak. And this is why I suppose a lot of cafes and stuff actually pipe it on because, yeah, some ways going plonk, plonk, it's just a bit fiddlier and gives you extra things to wash. This is more...
So much better.
Sorry?
Rustic looks so much better.
Well, I think, yeah, for a traditional lemon meringue pie, doing it piled up. Yeah, and then you end up with those, you know, that 6-inch stack of meringue on top. You don't get that. When you pipe it, you actually end up with uniform coverage, whereas this way. Now, and then what you're going to do is get some little peaky bits. So I just use my, whatever you're using to spread it out, whether it be a spatula or palette knife or whatever, just sort of pull it so you end up with these little pokey up bits, because they're the bits that are going to go nice and brown. Okay?
That's so clever, Louise. I was just going to ask you how we do that, because mine's usually flat. But
yeah, no, it is literally, because your meringue is actually quite sticky, and when you do that, you're actually going to end up with these little mountains. So there we go.
It doesn't do that.
Yours isn't doing it?
Mine's really firm, so it doesn't. Oh, it does it a little bit.
Is it cold or is it?
No, I brought it back to room temperature. So
okay,
doing it a little bit. I'm probably being too careful with it.
Yeah, look, you can be a little bit rough with it. So it only has to go in the oven now for 5 minutes, okay? So
if we've got one of these, can we just blowtorch it instead of oven it, do you reckon?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you can blowtorch it or pop it in the oven. Blowtorching is actually really good if you've, when you've done your pastry case, if you've over browned it a little bit, but the blowtorch is actually really good for that, because all we're doing is, just browning those peaks. I have got a blowtorch that I've never used, so I thought now was probably not the day to test it out for the first time, but I might do that at some stage. Maybe on my little one, I'll have a go. Sorry, what was that?
Maybe not while you're being recorded. Try that in privacy first.
That's it. I mean, look, I've done enough embarrassing things tonight without blowtorches to do it as well. But I'll get that out of the way now. So look, I'm going to do that little mini one. I'll do that later on tonight, and I might try the blowtorch on that. But because all we're doing is we're not cooking our lemon meringue at this point. It is just 5 minutes at a higher temperature, just to give that light brown peak. So keep an eye on it. It says 5 minutes, but if you don't need 5 minutes, like I just had a quick look, and depending how peaky you are, because I did quite those sharp little points, they're already starting to brown. Okay, so I reckon it's only going to be 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm going to bring a thingy over, a thingy, technical term for a cooling rack. Probably about you can see it's black on black at the moment, but once the pie goes on, it'll be okay. And then I'm going to want everyone to take pictures of their lemon meringue pies to pop on the page. So you can all see how easy and wonderful it is being able to make lemon meringue pie, because it is such a classic.
I'm ready to try a pav now. I've never been able to do meringue.
I agree with you. I have never, ever had meringue work like that. I will try a pav.
Yeah, well, I mean, that just works. And, there's no reason why you cannot use that for pav as well. Yeah, if you have no luck with an actual pav recipe, try the meringue from this and see how that goes baked as a pav. Could be worth trying. Same ingredients. So, but I always do my pavs. Oh, my Thermomix now. How are we going? Oh. All righty. My lemon meringue pie is out of my oven. You can't see very well because of the lighting, but I have got little brown peaks on top. Oh, here we go. We've got the cameraman who's going to come around, and I will actually take a picture as well, so that you can see it. I'll poke it. But Graham's going to zoom in with the camera, so I'm going to swap to, oh, not yet, he's doing something else. But I didn't want to leave it in too long because I've got quite little pointy ones. They are actually brown. And so that was 3 minutes for mine. So just check your meringue to make sure.
I had a blowtorch that I've never used, and I actually used it just to finish it off a bit. It's really, they work well.
Oh, good. Yeah, look, I'm going to get mine out. I don't even know if it's got gas in it. It's one I picked up at Aldi. So, okay, I'm going to just, I think I can just swap cameras here. Let's have a look. There we go.
Oh, beautiful.
So there we are.
Looks very yummy.
So you can see we've got little brown peak. It is actually a little bit darker than the picture looks, but I didn't want to put it in too long and end up with black burnt bits. But I think
delicious.
So there we go. So everybody can share their pictures. I think I'm just going to ask the boss here. Graham, do you think I should pop it in the oven for a few more minutes, or do you think that is brown enough? Yep, okay, good. I had a second opinion there.
Try your blowtorch, Louise.
Try my blowtorch?
Yes, they work really well.
All right, well, what I'll do is when you're not looking, I'll get the blowtorch out. I'll go over it. Because you don't want the whole top to be brown. You actually just want your little mountains to be brown. So, okay, who's got one that they can show us a picture of?
I'll show mine.
Oh, there we go. I'm going to go. There we go.
Ah! It just fell on the computer.
Was that you, Sue?
Oh, yes, that's all right.
There's Charmaine. Very good.
That was a bit of a disaster.
Mine's got a lot of movement in it, though.
Has it?
Yeah.
What part is moving?
The curd.
The curd? Yeah. Look, it might still be a bit warm. You're going to chill it before you eat it, and the curd will thicken up. Okay? Yeah. If it doesn't, then it's more like having dessert. As in, pudding with a spoon rather than a pie. But we'll see how we go. Now, who else has got something to show us? Jackie? Oh, there's Isabella. I'm going to just bring up Isabella's. Hers has disappeared. There it is. There we go. Oh, I should get mine out of my tin too. If I can. This is going to be an interesting exercise. Maybe I should put it on a serving thing. Okay. I don't know if I've got a board big enough. Graham, can you do me a favour? Can you pop into the buffet and grab out a round platter? There should be either that Robert Gordon one with the edges, or there's a Mikasa one in a box. Okay. Oh, here we go. We've got Jackie's up there as well. Let's have a look. Beautiful. Lovely. So I want everyone to take pictures, make sure they go in. And now, Sue, where's yours?
Mine fell a bit when I went to go onto the put it onto the thing. So I'll send a photo because I've taken a photo.
Okay.
That's right. The curd doesn't set obviously until you put it in the
Until it all cools.
Yeah. So that's all right.
So that's why you can actually like do all these elements ahead of time, and then there we go, and then pull it all together at the last minute. But it's also another, make sure that if you can get your meringue all the way to the edge of the. Here we go. Now this is going to be fun. I'm going to try not to do a sous here, and
yes, it's very runny.
Is it? I can't even see mine because mine's sealed in by my meringue. Okay, let's.
Now. Oh.
Okay, this is always the fun part.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Getting it onto serving plate while it's hot. There we go. So we'll let them chill. So once it's cooled down a bit, get it in the fridge, and it should be fine for your dessert tonight. I'm just going to work out how to get my base out from under. Yeah, I actually have like a really big supersonic spatula. I knew I had it for a reason. I'm just going to find it again.
If I disappeared, Louise, it's because my battery on my laptop's about to die.
Okay. Well, look, I think we're just about, done anyway.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining in. And, I'm going to use a pizza slide to get it off. Brilliant idea, Graham. And make sure you take a picture and pop it on the page. And if you have any ideas of what we want to cook next time, we'll try and do this more frequently, okay? Not that I'm anticipating we're going to have lots of lockdowns, but we do just still want to keep cooking even if we're not locked down. Okay.
Or some of the new Japanese ones sound lovely.
I know. I'm having a look at some of those and thinking.
Cheesecake looks delightful.
Yes, that was actually very high on my list of the next thing to do. So it's like a cloud
My husband's asked for
cheesecake.
something savoury.
What was that, sorry?
My husband's asked for something savoury. He's like,
okay, well, if we do something savoury next, and then we can do the. How about we could do a Japanese cook-along and actually do a savoury and a sweet for dinner. So it'll be like for a dinner or something.
Yeah.
How would that work?
Now
I'm going to try and do this without breaking.
Thank you for doing it on a Sunday. It's so much easier.
Pleasure.
And I can actually participate because the weekdays are just.
Oh, look, I have exactly. There we go. Look at this. I actually managed to get my lemon meringue pie onto a serving platter. It's off its base and everything. So that will be going in the fridge and will be our dinner tonight. So
one side with tomato sauce and one not.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you all for jumping on and post those pics, and we'll do another one very, very soon. And I do think a Japanese themed
be nice.
Dinner one would be good.
Thanks,
okay.
Louise.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.